Belgium is often described as the heart of Europe, a land where history, culture, and modern life blend seamlessly. From its medieval towns to its world-famous chocolates and beers, Belgium has a unique charm that captivates every traveler. This small but influential nation has been the stage for some of the world's most defining moments. One such place is Waterloo, just a short distance from Brussels, known across the globe as the site of the legendary battle where Napoleon Bonaparte met his defeat in 1815. Waterloo is not just a name in history books. It is a living, breathing reminder of Europe's past, where every stone and every field has a story to tell. The first thing that usually comes to mind is Napoleon and his famous battle. But every year, in this historic Belgian town, another kind of history comes alive, one that takes us much further back in time to the age of the Vikings. I had the chance to experience the Viking Day festival here, and what I found was not just a reenactment, but a vibrant celebration of culture, craftsmanship, and community spirit. From the moment I walked into the festival grounds, the atmosphere was electric. The smell of wood smoke drifted through the air, mixed with the scent of roasting meat and fresh bread, and the sound of drums echoed in the distance. It felt less like a festival and more like stepping into a time portal. Everywhere I looked, people were dressed in tunics, cloaks, and leather boots, carrying shields and swords as if they had just stepped off a longship. Families wandered between stalls, children ran around with wooden swords, and reenactors spoke in character, proudly explaining Viking traditions to curious visitors. I stopped first at the Viking market. Here, artisans displayed handmade jewelry, carved wooden utensils, and beautiful leatherwork. It was fascinating to watch blacksmiths hammer glowing iron into shape, sparks flying into the air, while others demonstrated how weave cloth on ancient looms. I realized how much skill and patience it took to create even the simplest object in the Viking world. These weren't just souvenirs, they were living pieces of history, made with the same techniques that people used more than 1,000 years ago. The highlight of the festival, of course, was the reenactment battles. As the crowd gathered around the open field, the warriors began to assemble. Shields clashed, swords gleamed, and war cries filled the air. I could feel the tension rise as they formed their shield walls, stepping in rhythm, pushing against one another in a raw and powerful display. Though staged, the energy was real. The stomping, the shouting, the clash of metal against wood. It wasn't hard to imagine what these battles must have felt like centuries ago, when life and death were decided on fields like these. The reenactors were more than performers. They were storytellers, keeping history alive with each strike and shout. Between battles, I wandered through the encampment. This was one of my favorite parts. Rows of tents, each carefully decorated with Viking symbols, gave a glimpse into how people lived during that era. Some tents were set up as kitchens, where pots simmered over open flames. Others were dedicated to crafts, with furs, horns, and tools on display. I watched children try their hand at archery and listened to stories told by skalds, the Viking poets, who shared myths of Odin, Thor, and the Nine Worlds. It felt like the pages of the sagas had come alive around me. But it wasn't all about battles and myths. There was a festive, almost family-like atmosphere that made the whole experience special. I shared a meal with locals, simple bread, smoked fish, and even mead served in wooden cups. As I sat on a wooden bench, surrounded by people laughing, cheering, and enjoying themselves, I thought about how festivals like this connect us to history not just through facts, but through feelings. You don't just learn about the Vikings here, you live it even if only for a day. Walking through the crowd, I noticed how much care went into making the experience immersive. The reenactors weren't just acting for show. Many of them have studied Viking history for years. They could explain details about clothing, trade routes, or weapon making with real passion. Some told me that for them, this isn't a hobby, but a way of life. They dedicate countless hours to research, travel to festivals across Europe, and pass down their knowledge to younger generations. The festival wasn't only about looking back, though. It was also about people today, how history inspires us, how community brings us together, and how culture can be celebrated in so many forms. I saw little kids painting shields with bright colors, teenagers trying out Viking board games, and older people tapping their feet to the rhythm of drums and fiddles. It was a reminder that history is never just about the past. It's also about the present moment and the memories we create in it. As the day came to an end, the sun dipped lower, casting a golden glow over the festival grounds. The last battle of the day unfolded against this dramatic backdrop, and it felt almost cinematic, like a scene from a film. The warriors clashed one final time, their voices echoing through the air, before the crowd erupted in applause. When it was over, there was this shared sense of satisfaction, like we had all been part of something bigger than ourselves. Leaving the festival, I couldn't help but reflect on what made the Viking Day so special. It wasn't just about swords, shields, or costumes. It was about passion for history, for storytelling, and for bringing people together. It was about the joy of seeing children's eyes light up with wonder, the dedication of reenactors who spend months preparing, and the feeling of being transported to another world, even if only for a few hours. Waterloo may always be remembered as the site of Napoleon's defeat, but for me, it will also be remembered as the place where I discovered a different kind of history, a history alive with spirit, sound, and celebration. Viking Day was more than a festival. It was an experience that reminded me why we love stories of the past and why we continue to keep them alive today. And if you ever get the chance to come here yourself, I can promise it's a journey worth taking. So if you enjoyed coming along with me on this little time travel adventure, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more stories like this, and leave me a comment if you've ever been to a festival that made you feel like you stepped into another world. Until the next journey,